It's Congresswoman Yassamin Ansari. We're really glad that you had some time to come visit with us today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, people don't appreciate it. They think, what the members of Congress, they work what? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Well, usually Monday's a fly day and either Thursday or Friday's a fly day, correct?
Yeah, and quite frankly, some of us work all day, every day when we're back here as well.
Right.
And whatnot. But yeah, we fly basically twice a week.
That is impressive. The fact that she says she works all day, every day, I think, Ron, that's why she's been so successful. I'm actually very impressed. You were born up in Seattle, moved here when you were 5, you said. But let me read this because on your website, it says, prior to the election of Congress, you served as Vice Mayor of Phoenix, the youngest woman ever elected to the Phoenix City Council. And you made history as the youngest woman in the 119th Congress as the first Iranian-American Democrat, and you served as freshman class president for Democrats in the 119th Congress, regardless of partisan politics. I think a congratulations is in order.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So you grew up here in the Valley, and you were very young when you started serving. At what point did you think, I really want to serve public, and I want to run for office? Like, how you were young already when you became a city council person. When was it when you thought, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I always knew I was interested in public service. So I was working on climate and clean energy issues right after undergrad at New York. I worked at the United Nations, et cetera, et cetera. And then, honestly, it was the first Trump administration and 2 actions that really motivated me to move back home and shift my focus from more, national level work to very local work. It was when Donald Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which I had worked on at the United Nations, and then also the first travel ban, which really impacted families like mine, caused a lot of family separation. So that really upset me, and I wanted to be more in a position where I was making an impact directly. And so I moved back home to Phoenix, got super involved, and I think I still to this day, I think in local government, you can make so much of
more
an impact that people feel on a daily basis, addressing homelessness, improving public safety, building new parks. It's just really tangible and frankly more bipartisan, and there's more ability to work with everyone.
I love that.
How is it adjusting from dealing with local issues? I mean, it doesn't get more local than a local city council to major national issues.
I think the most jarring part at the beginning was the fact that DC is very polarized. That's just the truth. We're also in a very hyper-polarized environment right now. So it's challenging. So that has been an adjustment. I will say, though, I think my interests, I'm very interested in national issues as well. So I've been able to kind of bridge both in a way. So I've enjoyed it, whether that means making sure that Arizona and Phoenix are still getting federal funding to make those local changes that I had worked on, everything from the electric buses we ordered when I was on the city council, that was because of federal funding. Many of our new parks, federal funding, all of the heat mitigation work we're doing. So having that local knowledge is helping me.
Let's talk just a little bit about what the big headline of the day and really of the last couple of weeks, which is the government shutdown. Now, there's an argument out there, let me get your take on this, that you could keep parts of the government open. You could pay the troops. I know this is an issue in the Senate right now, not in the House. But there have been votes this week that said we can still fund SNAP. We can still get the troops paid, that type of thing. Why not at least go that far? Again, I know you're in the House, not in the Senate, but why not?
I think my perspective on this is, Republicans have the opportunity to negotiate. They have for many weeks now, and they refuse to do so. I mean, Republicans in the House have not been to work now going on 4 weeks. They have only worked 2 weeks out of the last 2 months because we had an August recess as well. And that refusal to do their jobs to me is so outrageous. Like, what are their job in the United States? Could you just not show up to work for 3 weeks and not get immediately fired?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of our viewers in our YouTube chat, they say, why pay lawmakers if they're not willing to work together to make something work and get the government back open?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I committed to donating my salary as long as the government is shut down to a community health center in my district that is being impacted by the federal funding cuts. Others have done the same. I mean, obviously, people have families.
Yeah.
I don't have that. It's an easier decision for me, but that's what's happening with federal workers right now.
Right. What do some of our nation's leaders do during a shutdown? Like, do some of them go on vacation?
I don't know. We have been,
Ron's like,
we've been working.
If Ted Cruz gets caught down there in
Miami Beach,
Cancun, come on now.
If somebody's on Miami Beach catching sun rays, you are in trouble.
Yeah, unless you represent that district.
Exactly.
No, I don't know. I mean, Republicans truly have not been working. They're avoiding their constituents. They haven't been hosting town halls all year long because of backlash about, how the administration is just cutting agencies, completely disregarding the law in so many cases. So, but we've been, myself, Greg Stanton, Adelita Grijalva, who still has not been sworn in, we've been on the plane back and forth every week. We're ready to negotiate anytime, anywhere. Here in the district, I've been meeting with airport workers who have been furloughed and not getting paid. I've gone to community health centers who are terrified about this war on food and saying that come November 1st, they're expecting the need for food banks and access because of SNAP to skyrocket, and they're freaking out about that. And rightly so. Been at the No Kings protest, so we've been busy.
Okay, we do actually have some of the pictures. There was a pretty big turnout. What is your gauge on where your party stands, coming out of these really nationwide protests, and what your prospects are for 2026, and who is the leader of the party now?
Well, first of all, I felt very uplifted by the protests. We had, tens of thousands of people. I've heard different numbers, but I think the official number was 15,000 in downtown Phoenix. People from all walks of life, standing against authoritarianism and the trends that this administration, very alarming trends that, going after the free press, going after lawmakers, going after the courts, going after Congress. So I felt very uplifted. It was the largest protest in American history, from my understanding. I think we need to see more. However, I think thinking the question of the leader of the party, the truth is there is no one leader.
Not even Kamala Harris?
There's no one leader of the party. I mean, she's a phenomenal leader of the party, but she's a leader of the party. I think we have a more decentralized view right now. You're seeing many governors step up to the plate and have to defend their states, mayors, members of Congress, senators, and everyday people. So, once we get into the presidential primary for 2028, I think that'll bring a new, level of excitement and enthusiasm around it. But right now, I don't think we want just one leader. I think we need many leaders.
Okay. Yeah.
Gosh, can you believe we're already out of time?
I know. Can she hang out for just a couple more minutes, Ron? Can we? Do you have like another 5 minutes?
Do you have a couple more minutes?
Okay, great.
All right.
Well,
we'll do that.
We don't bite. We promise.
No.
Well,
right. This is
Ron, I'm only going to speak for myself, Ron.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. And by the way, if you have any questions for the Congresswoman, send them our way. Right. And at 10:30, welcome back. It's Ron. I'm Ron.
Hi, Ron.
This is Celeste.
I'm Celeste.
She's Celeste. And this is Congresswoman Yassamin Ansari. We're finding out a little bit more about her as well. Celeste, let's just continue the conversation.
Let's do it. This has been great. When you're in D.C., and you're there with a lot of the other leaders from around the nation, do you feel like folks are already kind of like stuck in their own beliefs, or do you find some, maybe a handful, are willing to move towards the middle or compromise, or is it pretty difficult to compromise with leaders there? From
obviously I'm in my first term, right? But I do think this is an unusual first term, in that just quite frankly, the president has a very ironclad grip on the Republican Party, Republicans in Congress in particular. They're unwilling to go against him in any way, even when they have indicated that their positions are actually different. I'll give you an example of that. During the reconciliation bill process a couple months ago, when they call it the big beautiful bill, we call it the big ugly bill, many Republicans, or I'll say over a dozen Republicans, including Juan Ciscomani from Arizona, wrote a letter and were very clear that they will not vote for a budget that cuts Medicaid for anyone. And they wrote the letter, they went on the record saying that, but then they turned around and they voted for it. And you've seen that kind of pressure campaign work. It's happening right now with the Epstein files as well. The 4 Republicans who are on the discharge petition to release the Epstein files have been getting extreme pressure from the White House. So the White House has said this is a hostile act to sign this petition. And so that's also why the Speaker of the House is not swearing in Adelita Grijalva in Arizona's 7th District, because she would be the final signature needed to bring that to the floor. So there are dynamics at play that even good intentioned members on both sides who want to work together, it's just not happening in this environment in a meaningful way.
One more question about the government shutdown and the subsidies for Obamacare or the ACA. I've heard the argument that I know a lot, we had Mark Kelly on the other day, and I said, I know you think you're fighting the good fight here, but the government remains shut down. Why not reopen it? Even though I know there's a thought that this is our one chance because this is when we have the leverage, won't you actually have more leverage in about 2 weeks once people start to see what's happening to the rates that they pay for medical coverage? In some cases, I hear they could double, maybe even triple. Yeah. Isn't that the big leverage point? And get the government reopened? I
mean, that's happening right now. People are getting their notifications all over the country about their premiums. And Republicans have made very clear, like, they have no plan for healthcare. And they have been dishonest all year. Donald Trump is more focused on building his $350 million ballroom. His press secretary literally said yesterday, this is the president's #1 priority, as millions of Americans are going to see health insurance premiums skyrocket. I mean, this is, to me, so outrageous. And when you have a trifecta, the presidency, the Senate, and the House, and you cannot keep the government open, you cannot negotiate, you refuse to negotiate, you refuse to come to work, that is a complete abdication of responsibility. So this falls squarely on Republicans. If they want to reopen the government, they can negotiate, they can talk to Democrats, they can come to work, and they can do that. Like, people are willing. We've been at work every single day.
Okay.
So we have a question from Brandy the Bookworm in the chat. She says, what's her take on the potential future loss of Social Security benefits, both for retirement and disabled?
I'm deeply concerned about the fact that the administration wants to privatize Social Security. We saw threats of that at the outset of the year with Doge and Elon Musk. They fired thousands of employees at the Social Security Administration. The same way they are doing that across agencies, what this president wants to do, and what Russ Vought, who runs the Office of Management and Budget, and he's one of the architects of Project 2025, wants to do. They don't believe in the federal government. They want mass layoffs, and they want to make government so ineffective by firing everybody so that people stop believing that government can work. And Social Security is a huge target for them, and we have to do everything we can to protect it.
Is there somewhere in the middle where, and because you've spent a lot of time in DC, maybe you understand this a little bit more than we do, and we just have about 30 seconds, but government has gotten, in some departments, pretty big, like so big that you're like, what does that person do? Or what does that person do? Or what does that title mean? Is there somewhere in the middle where we think we can maybe shorten, or I guess, make some of the agencies smaller and still be efficient?
Absolutely. I mean, I think efficiency is a goal that everybody should have. That's just not what happened. You had Doge, you had a bunch of 22-year-old young men come in and just fire people within a week. I mean, you don't know what's efficient and what's not efficient when you come in after a week, right? You have to do an audit, an assessment. So many people, like, I'll give one quick example, the LIHEAP program. It funds utility assistance for people in Arizona when they need AC. They just fired everyone who works in that program. So now there is no program because there's nobody working there.
So those people, where do they go? Those people, where do they go when they need help? Like they would call APS or SRP and ask for forgiveness or something?
They would try. But yeah, this was a federal program that no longer is operating.
Exists.
Hey, we do have our New York Times reporter standing by. But one last question. Let's just squeeze it in real quick from AZ Raider. What about the proposal? It was a Florida lawmaker who said nobody's going to get paid. Now, you just told us you're donating your salary. Mm-hmm. Would that kind of a bill have a chance of passing both houses once we get through all this?
How many lawmakers do you think would vote for that?
A bill where nobody gets paid during the shutdown?
Yeah.
Lawmakers specific.
Yeah, that would be tough. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. I think the actual right thing to do, there was a Senate bill by Chris Van Hollen this week that said that everyone furloughed, whether it's the troops, whether it's, employees who are working, everyone should get paid and certain programs should keep operating. And Republicans did not vote for that. So I think that's more. But yeah, I agree with the viewer. We should not be getting paid during this time as others are struggling.
Thank you so much for coming in. This is so great.
Thanks for having me.
Just to kind of have some time to ask questions and hear your thoughts on it. It's been really insightful.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. Well,